Hey guys, welcome to Fasihi Lounge Kenya. I'm Bihenda.
And I'm Sheila.
And today we want to do a special minisode where we want to discuss further our last read. We are discussing the issue of consent that is brought about by the author. When we look at the scenario where we have the two out of the four characters, JB and Jude, where we have JB, who is an artist, is painting Jude while he's asleep.
He paints him not while he's asleep. He outrightly tells them that he wants to paint them as part of his works, but the issue comes about with him not seeking consent for a specific piece that he uses as his main work of art, the star of the show, for instance, in that case. And this star of the show was it was exposing the deepest vulnerability of Jude as a person in his humanity, because he paints him when he was really feeling the pain of his sickness. So the fact that he uses this as the main piece without seeking prior approval of this specific piece, because he does show the other friends some of the pieces he's working on without showing these specific ones. So now what happens is, when the four friends go to celebrate their friend in among the first successful shows he pulls, they go around looking at the other pieces, and they're really wowed by what JB is able to produce as a work of body, or as a body of art. However, when they get to this one specific star of the show, Jude's reaction, it's not just his hard feelings, but also a profound sense of betrayal, humiliation, and loss of agency, because he feels as though the art embodies his true life in the pain, the way his posture is. It kind of shows the public what he's trying so much to hide from other people. In the book we see how he never really talks about his life prior to meeting the friends, so his life is shrouded in a little bit of mystery. They kind of think or suspect he has gone through some traumatic life experiences. However, at that point in time, majority of them do not know the extent of this. Actually, all of them do not know the extent of pain he has and the pain he's living in. So I think the issue with this is the utmost betrayal. And then it's not only betrayal within a group of friends, it's betrayal in front of so many people, because then other people have come to see the body of work that has been put out, and they're looking at this piece in awe. And also in the same environment, there's this person, the living person who's being painted. So of course people are going to put two and two together and know this is the person who was painted, because already they know it's about the life of his friends. So that's why.
But when he was asking for consent to paint, was the consent given or not?
The consent was for painting them, but with approval of the pieces he was going to showcase.
Oh, he specifically
mentioned Jude specifically, because the issue was not with the other two friends, William and Malcolm.
Yeah.
Jude specifically, he's a bit at first he's very reluctant to get painted, but he relents, I guess, because they're friends and he feels like his friend would not betray him. He tells him, you can paint, but you still have to pass everything by me before you paint it. Like, tell me what you're painting and show me before you actually commercialize it.
So I would be curious to know, when he was painting, what was Jude's disposition at that point he was painted? He was able to be painted in such a way, like
what happens is they're not seated. It's not like they're not models. So he just follows them in their life, and then decides to paint whichever way, form or shape. So he has pictures, he has artwork that he paints them when they're happy, artwork when they are just looking like friends looking at each other. I think there's one where he paints William and Jude, and in that portrayal, the sort of like the love between them kind of shows. So it's not something that like calling for a model and asking them, sit there, I paint you. No,
because not that I'm trying to understand how the pain, like what was Jude always looking, or what was he looking like to the point where he was painted and it showed him looking in such a way that...
Remember in our last discussion we said there was a point where he was really sick, he was sickly, he started using wheelchairs, he would actually retrieve to himself and hold himself in pain in certain corners. And I think this was the piece, because he paints him when he's in pain, not just when he's happy and talking to other people. When the only piece that Jude is painted as a solo person, as a solo piece of one person, is when he's in pain. And he chooses to concentrate on this and make it a bit more, he magnifies the pain. So I feel Jude feels betrayed, because he's tried so much to hide parts of who he is to other people, let alone to even his friends, and then this friend just shows it to the world. While in retrospect, in the courtroom, he's a lawyer, he's winning cases left, right, center, and he's very powerful. But at the center of his humanity, he has a lot of pain, which is now shown through this paint.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, for me, I see that, yeah, for sure he should have sought consent. But then I also feel like, if I look at it from JB's point of view, he also, if he was given, like, Jude should not have given him the go ahead even to paint him. If
it was not even an explicit go ahead, he hounded them as friends, and he hounded and hounded and hounded until he relented. So his point of relention was, okay, you can paint me, but I still want to see everything you paint before you commercialize it. Which I feel like speaks a lot of JB as a person. For who he was then, he was very harsh in his words to his friends, considering that first and foremost he came from a loving family compared to what Jude came from, and compared to what William came from. So it's more like someone who's never lived that life can never understand it. Yeah. So he was very harsh about the way he dealt with his friends, up to the point when now I think things changed for him when he spirals down and his friends are there for him. That's when I think he feels like the friends actually accepted him for who he was. But at the point when he was painting them, he was very nonchalant to some extent. Yeah. So that's the issue. You see, when you hound someone for so long, for so much, and for Jude specifically, he never had so many friends. So I feel as though because he had this group of friends, he might have felt pressurized to accept it because he thought perhaps I can't afford to lose this friendship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. So there's a lot of losses of agency on his part. Yeah, because it's now becoming a spectacle. If you draw parallels from that to what is happening in social media, there's also things that happen like that. For instance, you find someone maybe is crying for help. It's a viral moment. I think there's one point I remember, the one in Kenya, with a lady who was married, and I think her husband had left her with her children in Budalangi, and then there was a case of flooding, and then she kept saying, bwana yangu ameniwacha na bila kitu, and then it became a sound clip that people made fun of. You see, in that sense, you're making fun of someone's pain. So you can imagine these two things, like you're exposing someone's pain to ridicule. So see, these things, as much as yes, there's agency, she was in front of a news crew, a news camera, and a news station, and she said this. For her, she was just speaking out her heart, but now it became a spectacle thereafter. So I think kind of these things kind of relate to some extent. Because people lose control when, say, issues like that, when it's a cry for help, private photos or chats or personal stories are shared online without permission. For instance, we've just read the book The House of Doors, where there's Leslie and Ethel, and one of the friends actually shares some parts of the secret about a murder, and this secret is shared with an author who then puts it in a book. You see, so in that sense, there's loss of agency, because once a story is out, it's out. You cannot relegate and you cannot change what is out there. So it's more like JB saw art, while Jude saw like violation of his personhood. So for JB it was more performance, because how can I portray the true human emotion, while for Jude it was, you're showing you're telling out my business. Yeah.
I wish although Nini says that it was not with his consent. I don't know.
That's the thing. When I say it's without his consent, is because he actually, in the body of works he portrays, he does seek consent from Jude for other pieces, but for this specific one he didn't show him. Yeah, so you see, that's betrayal, because otherwise why then was he hiding it if it was not a betrayal? Right? So you see, another thing is, again, once this artwork is out there, it's a permanent thing. It's a permanent exposure. And then what happened with that specific artwork, it gained a lot of traction, and that's actually the show that made JB successful. So you would think that it was a good thing, but the one thing that actually, it was good for him, yes, good for him because he became successful, but also sad. And because of this one thing, Jude actually stopped talking to JB completely. They stopped being friends completely. And I think later on, JB does not sell that piece. He mails it to Jude. Was it Jude or William? One of those, yeah. So, and despite that, he still does not talk to him. He only starts talking to JB after, I think, he spirals and uses drugs or okay. Yeah. So I guess it's very nuanced, because who owns a person's story? Is it the subject or the person who witnesses it?
Yeah, for me, I mean, okay, me just personally, story aside, yes, I get the point of course, what JB did was wrong. I'm not in no way saying that he Simtete, I'm not saying that there's an aspect where he was right, but I'm like, still, someone like Jude, even with the few friends he had, even with whatever, he should have protected himself in that instance by just flat out declaring that he did not want his image painted in any way, shape or form. And maybe make it clear to JB that you can paint Willem and the other one. But as far as me, don't put my image in any.
That's the thing.
And then I feel like that would have been a better way. Okay, to ensure that there is no way it will end up in an art show. Same as even the stories that we are talking about. But like the book we've just discussed, the best way to make sure that that scenario doesn't happen, like even that secret not being published in a novel, is to not tell the secret. But if you tell the secret, the person you have told kind of has
autonomy over that story,
quote unquote, the right to use that information in any way. If the person happens to be a writer, they're going to write about it. You get, like, you can't, whether it's moral or not is a different story. It might be, yes, it's unethical, but at the end of the day, how do you really control that person from using that information in the way they want? How does Jude control, if he has allowed JB to paint him, how does he control what JB will do with that painting? It's a
double-edged sword for sure.
So unless we are talking about a minor, but if we are talking about someone who has attained the age of maturity, then you have the right to say, don't paint me, like don't put my image on a painting, or don't or not to share like a secret out for use, unless it's a minor, because a minor maybe might not have that thinking capacity of telling you don't paint me, or maybe you can unduly influence them. But if it's a grown person, they should be able to speak out for themselves.
I think because of the is it the nuance? No, because of the background that we are exposed to as readers of this book, having seen and read what Jude has underwent in his life as a child up to he's now an adult, I feel like myself I would be a bit more empathetic for his reaction and understand his reaction, just because now you get to know how it's very hard for him to be open to other people and very hard again to trust. So I feel as though he trusted his friend not to showcase him in a certain way or a certain light, but now he failed. The friend failed him, unfortunately failed him. So now that led to a loss of agency, which again now there's a fine line between privacy and dignity for him at that point, because what's dignified of him? How do it's very also very selfish of JB to do that, because you wouldn't want someone close to you to look or feel sad. Then why would you show someone at their vulnerable state to the public, to people who do not know you, do not know him, and they're there for just a good time and that's it, you see? So there's also, it's a lot of consent in storytelling. Who gets to tell that story? The broader takeaway is basically relating Jude's betrayal to modern anxieties. So we have issues like surveillance culture, data leaks, cancel culture, doxing. At the moment, if you go out, you're not sure whether or not someone really will breach your privacy. Someone could take a photo of you and post it online, a video of you dancing, post it online and put a caption that brings attention to that thing. And then it just flows and it's no longer your story. It's in the first instance, it was not your story. You're just there to have fun. So does it then mean that we as humans need to look into that better? Like, I feel like we're losing touch of what friendship is in that case. So just I guess that's it. So it was just something that we've thought about as we read the book. In retrospect, after reading the book, the book was quite big, as we all it took us quite some time to read, and we're still remembering parts and portions of this book that we are curious and we still go back to refer to. Other than that, thank you for listening to us. You can answer the question in the poll we'll post in the podcast
on consent.
On consent,
and get your views, get the listeners' views on consent.
We would like to know when it comes to personal stories and vulnerabilities, so who should have the right to share them? Is it the person who lived it? Is it the friends and family? If it's done respectfully, is it anyone who witnessed this vulnerability, or does it depend on the context? We'd like to know and hear from you. Thank you. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.